get here?
Yeah.
It did. Take forever.
I'll explain. So welcome back to DNM Cast episode 18.
You sound tired.
Had a fucking... No, I'm not tired. I'm pissed off. Had a drama-filled morning, but we moved and it's I can't do anything about it. But
Of course.
long story short, I had to show up half an hour late because of uncontrollables. But
Do we want to address that your car broke down the other day?
nah, it's a bit traumatic, bro. It's a bit
What
what happened? Fucking, I was driving, car exploded, cars are now on tow truck, car is unavailable, so we're relying on Ubers. So
Car,
sometimes
no good.
I found out Ubers like to cancel, especially when they have to go over tolls. So
Yeah.
I think I was my fourth or fifth Uber before I got accepted. So
Oof.
anyway,
Rough.
we're back. Episode 18, we have a very special guest. This is 4 in a row.
Yeah, wow,
good.
we're on a roll
So
right now.
Luke, I'll throw it over to you to introduce the guest.
Well, this is Aydan, pop culture singer, songwriter, award-winning artist, finest on The Voice, and movie star now. Can you say that?
Oh, look, I mean, movie star, maybe like, hopefully the next couple of years, like maybe like TV show, Australian Stan star.
Yeah, what's it called? It's called Invisible Boys.
Correct, yeah. Invisible
Yeah.
Boys, streaming only on Stan.
And is that all filmed now? Is that
Yeah,
done?
all
Yeah.
wrapped up. We filmed from January to March this year and then had to do a little bit of reshooting. So I went back to Perth like last week or 2 weeks ago, a couple of days, which was nice. So it's pretty much all done now. The show will almost be even like completely edited, graded, everything,
Wow.
just waiting to drop.
and is this your first Stan like kind of movie debut? Is that
Yeah, this is my first screen acting debut. Like I've done a couple
exciting.
musicals in Australia, like this and that, you know, obviously through because of my singing and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my first ever.
Talk
Like,
us through it.
screen?
What's it like being an actor?
Man, it was crazy. Like I don't know. It's very hard. It's very hard. Like it's not like anything I'd ever done before. Because in a musical, you play the same show every night. So you learn your role, you learn the scenes, you do it on repeat.
Yeah, for sure.
But this show, you know, I'd go in and every day we'd shoot something different because we'd get it. They'd say, yep, that's a wrap. You're never doing that scene again. And you do something else. So some days they don't shoot chronologically. They shoot by location to obviously to save time, like to help. Like if we go somewhere, you don't have the luxury of just traveling all over to shoot everything. So we go to one location for like a week or a couple of days and you shoot everything that gets shot in that location. So it could be a scene of you, you know, talking to your mum from episode 1 and then a scene of you like arguing with your girlfriend that you're having problems with in like episode 9. So so you get there and you're like, all right, well, I'm in episode 1, my character hasn't grown at all and I'm talking to mum, and then you'll have a half-hour break, get changed, go back on set, and you'll have to try and put yourself
In the first shoes of...
you'll have to try and go and be like, okay, what am I going to be like in 8 episodes time?
That's hard because you haven't really built your character yet.
No, you haven't. Like, but obviously when people watch it, they're going to be like, you know, the growth is so cool. I can really see that. But for the actor, you'll have to imagine the growth. Like, you have to talk yourself through it. Like when you read the script and stuff, and be like, right, I would have been here. This would have happened. This would have happened. This would have happened. This is how I'm gonna.
That's
you know,
fascinating.
behave. It's
That's
tough. Like I really got to give it to the big dogs. Like, you know, that do it. You know, a movie, 2 movies every year. Like it was so tough. I was very prepared for it, but I guess I wasn't expecting like that workload and the mental toll it takes on you, like day in and day out for 3-4 months nonstop.
Was it a main role?
Yeah. I'm one of the 4 leads of the show. So it was a lot. So
Very exciting.
Thank you.
Was
Thank
that
you
like
very much.
a bit surreal? Because obviously Stan's up there with Netflix with the top streaming services. So landing a Stan, I guess, series or role, it's pretty big. Like, and as for your first, I feel like that's extraordinarily big. Isn't
It was. I mean, I'm very lucky, very grateful, like honored to be a part of the project. But I mean, yeah, it's a big step. It's kind of like, you know, your first year it's kind of like to compare it to something that everyone loves. It's kind of like getting drafted to a team in the AFL and then like playing the entire season in your first year.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
it's
like playing, you know, starting the entire, like every game in the year. Like that doesn't happen. Like, so it was very, very lucky. I was very, very lucky and that I booked my first one and it happened to be like a lead and it happened to be on a big platform like Stan. And so yeah, I set the bar really incredibly, almost impossibly high for myself now as well, that I don't want to I don't necessarily want to kind of take too many steps back from this position, because obviously if you could just keep booking lead roles, that would be a dream. But awesome. Yeah, it was very surreal, but I don't know. I think it was just the character came at a good time. Like he's pretty similar to myself. you know, culturally is an Italian kid.
Oh,
so
wow. Italian?
I'm Italian. And this was actually the necklace that I wore as the character. Like, this is my necklace I've had for years and years and years and years since I was a kid, and they let me wear it as my as my character necklace. So this will be like, you'll see this all over Stan, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zeke's pendant. So it was really cool.
So like someone trying to get into acting, you might have alluded to this already, but landing something that big like a Stan role, how did you go about it? Was your agent? Was your manager?
Yeah, it was my acting agent at the time. Obviously the brief came across their desk, and then they ship it out to all of the talent that will fit the brief. So like it'll come out, and it'll be a piece of paper that says, we're looking for this character, this character, this character. This kid's a brunette. He's this age. He's, you know, he can be between these heights. He can be this. He can be that. And if you kind of fit that brief, or they think that you could play it, they send it to you. So there would have been a bunch of people on the same books as me that would have got the audition as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just submit for it. And usually it's all self-tapes initially. So you just film yourself reading some scripts, and you send it off. And if they like you, you do like, I had to do Zooms because they were in Perth, because we shot the show in Perth and Geraldton. So it was a lot of Zooming and stuff, but yeah, it's crazy. A lot of, if there's anyone watching that is an actor, they'll like, I auditioned for the show and then didn't hear anything for like 4 months.
No. Wow.
So in my head, I was like,
I didn't
get
it.
It's another one of those ones, go up for it. Doesn't happen. Whatever. It's all good. Like that's mostly what happens. You know, you audition for everything and you get one yes. So so I didn't think that was the one. I waited 4 months. I was like, sweet, didn't hear anything back. That means a no. All good. And then like, super randomly one day they were just like, hey, like, do you remember that role that you shot for like 4 months ago? Like, we want you to do a second tape. And I was like, holy shit, like, I don't even remember. Like, I don't even remember what this was. I totally blacked it out. I was like, this isn't happening. So I did it again. And then like 2 days later, I had a Zoom with the director and the casting director and stuff. And a chemistry read with one of the other leads who had already booked the job, and I didn't know yet. He had already landed the job. And then 2 days after that, they called and they were like, yeah, we want you. Wow. So it was literally 4 months of nothing, and then second tape, 2 days later, Zoom, 2 days later, you've got it.
Were you always into it? Like as a kid?
Acting?
Yeah. Because
it was more the music side than transition into acting.
Yeah, it was definitely like, I'm always, if there was two pills and it was like be a famous actor or be a famous, God, I keep knocking the sponsor. Sorry guys.
Shout out.
There you go. I keep, if someone handed me two pills right now, I would, and it was like be a famous actor or a famous singer, like I would take the singing one in a heartbeat every time. Like I would never, nothing could change my mind on that, because I've
like
always wanted to be a singer.
Justin Bieber, Brad Pitt.
Exactly. I would take, you know, the Bieber any day because it's just always what I've wanted to do. But if there's a world in which I can put them together and be like Justin Pitt or like something like that, then that's the ideal
Justin
world.
Bieber had a movie.
Yeah, right. Like a while ago, he was in
He was doing the selfies or something. It was Zoolander.
It was Zoolander.
I think it might have been
killed in Zoolander.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He died.
And he died doing a selfie
Yep, correct. Yeah, a lot of singers do it. A lot of singers will make their way into film and TV and that kind of world.
Vice versa sometimes as well.
Vice versa as well. A lot of actors even these days, a lot of like just social media stars, like a lot of people will transition. It's very lucrative, the creative world. Like you can just kind of, lucrative is probably not the right word, but it's very like malleable. You can move between them, and you'll be an actor, and then you're like, I want to drop a song, or you'll be like, you'll be a singer, and then the project comes up and they're like, yeah, we want to get this. I don't know if you guys know or remember Jai Waitford. He was on X Factor like a long while ago. He was kind of like Australia's Justin Bieber, a bit like Cody Simpson-ish. He just booked a role on Stan as well in Critical Incident. I'm pretty sure it's called. It's already out. Yeah, and he was on it, and I saw that and I was like, damn, that's crazy, because we were kind of similar, like you know, in when we kind of grew up in our youth, and now we're older, like keeping the dreams alive and stuff. So a lot of singers and actors will do it, where they'll jump between the two. So
this will be like last acting question, but I feel like something you might not be able to touch on it, but people I feel like would want to know. It's something that they always want to know. For a Stan show or a Stan contract, is that like, how is like payment for that? Like, is it like, do they pay you a salary, or is it like a package, or is it?
Yeah, I can tell you that. I can't give you the figures, but I can. It was $1 million. Most of the time, like, it will be a weekly thing. So it'll be like a weekly pay, and there'll be all of these kind of rules and stipulations and stuff in there where it's like how long you have to work to qualify for the weekly. Otherwise, if you know, because if you work one day in the week, they probably won't give you the whole week's salary. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, usually it'll be discussed with your manager and they'll your agent. They'll send over the contract and they'll be like, "This is what we want." The agent will most likely go back and be like, "We want more," or like, "Well, it's like negotiations," and then you set on a fixed fee. But I mean, there's definitely projects out there where people like there's stories out there where people won't get paid and they'll take a percentage. Usually big actors like wouldn't have been up, like I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do this, but Kevin Hart did it a lot in some of his earlier movies where he wouldn't take a wage.
He took a
So for the 3
of it,
months of shooting, he wouldn't get paid. He was doing it for free, and then he'd take a percentage of the
Box office,
exactly the box office. And then if the movie's a huge hit, he ends up making
Royalties
100 times
royalties,
more
yeah.
than what
Dude,
he
that'd
would
be
have made if
nuts.
they gave him a weekly fee or a lump
It's
sum
like-
of
It's like Michael Jordan with the Nike deal.
Correct.
He,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Took like a percentage, and then everyone called him
So,
stupid and all
yeah.
that. It was his mum actually. I
Yeah,
think.
it was
I
his,
watched that movie.
it was his parents.
And, he's just loaded. Now.
Same idea.
Yeah.
So, but that's obviously not. You can't just ask for, like, I couldn't have gone to Stan and be like, I want a percentage of the show. They would have been like, yeah, I'll tell you where you can put that percentage, buddy. So it's usually like a weekly fee that gets decided on, and then
Oh no.
yeah.
You obviously doing your acting right now, which is super exciting. Can we talk about when you were younger? You have a singer-songwriter background.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So how'd you find love for your music, growing up?
Oh man, it was just like, honestly, music was just always like resonated with me.
Yeah.
I loved a big part of it was actually, funny enough, Michael Jackson. I loved like his perform, like when I was growing up, I loved watching his old clips and stuff. And my dad's a huge Elvis Presley fan, so I used to watch a lot of Elvis Presley stuff. And yeah, I was just kind of like, I don't know, when I was 2 years old, like my favorite toy was like my toy guitar. And I couldn't even like comprehend like anything, but it was like, yeah, I just loved, like, I would sit there and I would strum it. It had these metal strings that they didn't actually sound good. So it would just go like bang, dang, 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 dang. Like you couldn't actually play it. And I would do it all day, every day. And yeah, I got to like 7, 8, 9, kind of was like,
Kind of good at this.
yeah, it's fun. I like it. My parents would like healthily push me in the right direction to be like, you enjoy this, like keep going. Like, we'll put you in lessons. You can do dancing, you can do singing, you can do acting. I was doing guitar lessons, piano lessons, like all 5 at the one time, like during the week. And I just kept going. I kept going, and then got to 2012, and I landed my first big job ever, which was Young Talent Time, which is a show that was much before any of our times. It was really big in like the 70s, 80s, I would say.
Wow.
And they did like a farewell season, like a reboot season, and I was one of the 10 kids that would sing every week.
So
it was,
for the viewers that don't know, how old are you?
I was 11.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 11, and I was on. It was, once a week we would go and we'd rehearse. I actually had the craziest schedule ever when I was 11. Monday and Tuesday I would be in Melbourne, and I'd be going to school. I was in year 6. This was, I was 12, so I was 11 turning 12, so I was in year 6. And so Monday, Tuesday I would spend in Melbourne going to school, and then Wednesday I would fly to Sydney. Thursday, Friday, I would go to school in Sydney, like primary school in Sydney. And then Thursday night and Friday night, we'd rehearse for the show. Saturday, we would shoot the show. And then Sunday, I would fly back to Melbourne and start again. Because it was like a week behind. So we would shoot on the Saturday. That episode that we shot wouldn't get released till like the following Sunday. So on the day that I would fly, they would drop the episode that we shot.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that week prior. So
How many weeks was that for, do you reckon, though?
Oh, how many episodes did we do? It would have been like a good 4 months.
Jesus.
4 or
That is
5
such
months.
a hectic lifestyle.
For a year
Would it-
6.
That's when you're 11 years
I
old
was
at
in,
this point.
yeah, I know. I was living some kind of chaotic like touring lifestyle. I was like, when I was 11 years old.
Does
Like,
that show still get showed?
it doesn't get like run on TV, but like it will still
online,
it'll pop up. It's all over like the internet, and it'll pop up online because it came. A lot of the kids that were on it in like the 70s and the 80s came back for the reboot season and like would pop up. So you guys will probably know who Tina Arena is.
Oh yeah,
right? You've heard of the name Tina.
right.
Yeah, she was the youngest cast member on the first season, and then when I did it, I was the youngest cast member. So she was heavily in the reboot season. She was like one of the judges, and Rob Mills was the host. So it was like, it was a crazy
very
year for me at
impressive.
11.
And then from this show, did you have more opportunities come, such as The Voice? How many years after was that, or what did you do in between to kind of fill that?
You've got talent as well, or is that?
Yeah, I did Straight to Talent in 2013. I usually just gloss over that because that was kind of embarrassing. It's just one of those things I just did. Like I did that in 2013, so that was.
Yeah,
I did it the following year.
So it would have been 14?
I was 13 by the time it came out.
Yeah.
Sorry, by the time I went
I
on.
reckon Australia's Got Talent's pretty cool.
It was fun. It was good. It was
grow up on
good.
that.
It was a lot of fun. Like the performances that I did are actually pretty fun.
I have no talent to go on there, so at least you have talent. I know we've had a lot of guests, which they're awesome, but as we were saying, not many of them have as much talent as you do. Dare I say they don't have talent, but you do. So
You could do
I won't tell them you said that.
don't tell. They're listening. I'm very, very sorry.
you could do like an IRL like thirst trap maybe. Like,
That would be true.
Yeah.
I would
I'd
watch-
say no. I just do thirst traps. And TikTok. No talent really. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
talented. I
great.
wish
Wink
I
to
mean,
the camera or something.
it's talented. I mean, I struggle to do them. So
do you try?
I definitely did try in the era of like where thirst traps were everything in like 2019, 2020. I definitely tried. Kind of moved away from it ever so slightly now. Trying to re-lock in on the singing and stuff.
I think everyone goes through it.
You got to go through it. It's a part of being a young guy.
Yeah.
You got a thirst trap. Anyway,
I'm gonna say my thirst traps in like what year 8, year 9, year 10 are horrible, disgusting.
You're still going.
I mean, they're still going. When I'm like
We-
2 years old, I'll probably look back at them now and be like, what is wrong with me? For those of us I was young, they were bad because when I was a kid, I really wanted to be like a TikToker. Like I wanted to be like a famous TikToker. I just loved it. It was like, I think it was like Bryce Hall, like Logan Paul. They were all like blowing up and like all these things. I was like, I love this so much. I want to do it. And I tried it. Wasn't the same, obviously.
Wasn't the same. Yeah,
think
no.
like now, like you would have been 16. Imagine like, I don't think there would be any chance of like anyone really partying with like Bryce Hall at that age.
No, exactly.
Crazy.
So,
No, definitely not.
I know, insane. And we'd love to talk about, your voice. You made it to the semi-final, which is
I made it to grand final.
Grand final, did you?
Yeah.
You don't even know your guess, mate.
No, it was grand
I'm
final.
out of here.
Well, how many's in the granny? It's
It was top 4.
yeah.
in the
See,
Grammy.
it was 4 people, so that's where the semi-final.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
No,
it
it
was,
was, it was a big run. It was a really big run. I actually auditioned for The Voice the year before and didn't turn a chair.
Oh wow.
Not many people know that.
Really?
Everybody just sees the big clips on my kind of successful season, but yeah, I actually went up the year before and didn't turn got to the blind auditions and didn't turn a chair.
Who'd you choose? Which coach?
On the year that naturally, I chose Joe Jonas.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
nice.
He was on the show for like one season. He was a big international draw
You
card,
want that, yeah.
and I was like, yeah, these guys are all amazing, but Joe Jonas is
Can't go
crazy,
fast,
like crazy successful, and literally like there was a lot of similarities between like him when he was 17 and him doing things like camp rock and all that kind of fun stuff, and I was like, that's kind of
Something you
the
like
most
to-
similar to like something I would probably wouldn't do anymore because I don't think camp rock would be as successful in 2024, but like I always loved that stuff growing up, so I was like, that really resonates with me. He really he was a young kind of star, and I was to some degree the same kind of thing, being 12 on TV and stuff. So
how do you mentor you through the show? Like, was he a good mentor to you? Did he help you?
yeah, definitely. I mean, he was very chill, which was really nice. He was just super it was almost like he was Joe Jonas, your next door neighbor, which was really weird.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, because he was literally just he was super supportive, was very much just go out there and have fun, man. Like he's like, because I think he was just enjoying himself. So it was literally just like a lot of the coaching was confidence based and, putting on a good show because he's quite a showman. And that really worked for me because I dance and I sing and stuff. So all of my performances, if you watch them, they're very eccentric and they're very entertaining to watch.
It's Michael Jackson coming out.
Yeah, well, literally, they in the second week of the lives when we were playing live, I sung "Wanna Be Starting Something" with a full dance routine, 10 dancers behind me.
really?
There was a bunch of tires, and there was a mountain of tires behind me, we were in a junkyard, and they were on fire, and it was crazy. And I did a full dance routine. I had the Madonna microphone on, so I was my hands were free, and we were doing Michael Jackson dances. It was crazy. It was very. All of my performances were very entertaining, which I was totally on board with. So he was very supportive of that and just go out there, have fun, don't regret it, don't focus too much and then regret it. You know what I mean? And be lock in. It's you're 17, you're doing great things, have fun. You'll sound good anyway. Just, you know.
It's a very small percentage of people that actually like make it after The Voice, because obviously The Voice is like really big, and like whilst it's airing, everyone would probably have so much like publicity and stuff.
Yeah.
How did you manage to continue your channels, your singing, your acting throughout, rather than just being known as the guy from The Voice? You know what I mean? So now you got this opportunity on Stan. What does it consist of being someone that's like your own brand?
Yeah, it was tough to shake the Aydan from The Voice name.
Yeah.
I've shaken it now just purely from the fact that it's been so long that now it's no longer, no one will ever introduce me as like Aydan from The Voice. But it's not far enough where people will always remember it. Like if I show a clip or I'll be like, I sung this or I sung, they'll be like, oh my God, I remember you. But it's far enough now that I don't get introduced as Aydan from The Voice, which is good. But for a long time, like that was what I was known for, because of how, like, I guess viral the clips, some of those clips went on YouTube and on TikTok. Like there's people still post them today and they'll still go viral and they'll be like, oh my God, when was this? Like what country is this in?
Yeah.
And it's like, this was The Voice Australia like 6 years ago. Like this was a long time ago.
Yeah,
so
the famous yellow.
The famous yellow flanny. The famous yellow sleeveless flanny. Yeah. It was, so I guess it was tough to kind of continue my career and keep pushing it, but I just lent into it because I was like, there's no point in trying to shake the From The Voice name when most of these people know me from The Voice. I might as well
embrace it.
It's not like they know me from like a leaked nude where it's like, you know, and it's like it's
a pretty positive platform.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not like something that I don't want to be associated with. So I was like, hell yeah, like, you know, I made him from The Voice.
Is everything like on those kinds of shows, like The Voice, Got Talent briefly, obviously, but everything is dramatized as they make out? Or is like, how much of it's real? How much of it, do they tell you to do certain things to like stir the pot a little bit?
Like, not so much they tell me, well, because The Voice is less reality than things like, you know, Love Island and reality shows like Married at First Sight and all that stuff. So they wouldn't really be like, go start drama with that person.
Yeah.
But they would kind of coach you in the right direction on like the language they wanted you to use. So like they might be like, are you nervous? And in your interview, and you'd be like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty nervous. You know, I don't want to mess up. And I'm like, and they'll be like, okay. Try saying like, you know, I'm feeling really nervous because, and then you kind of go, okay, I'm feeling really nervous because, and then most of the time you say like, they know what they're doing. You know, The Voice has done like, it's done heaps of seasons. I wouldn't even know what they're up to. I think I was on.
Still going now.
It's still going now. I think I was on season 7 maybe or 8.
The Voice Kids, The Voice,
or 9, something like, literally.
Generations. My mate's parents won that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, The Voice Generations. I don't know how many seasons of it they did.
I think they only did the one, and it was like
Tim,
the family.
Tim and Caitlin, the winners. One of my.
I've never seen that.
You're up to season 24. And then from there, you were on the Eurovision. You had a Eurovision contest.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we did. They ran a couple of seasons of something called Eurovision Australia Decides.
Yeah.
And that's basically a competition where they decide who's going to represent Australia in Eurovision. But I did the first year of it, so like, I'll die on the hill that like my year was so tough compared to like some of the later years where they ran out, or not ran out, but like there was a lack of like really famous Australian artists. Yeah. So like I went up against like Courtney Act, Kate Miller-Heidke, who's a judge on The Voice this year.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Shepherd, you know, like Say Geronimo. Like Shepherd, the Australian band.
It's hard to win against that.
Like Shepherd, Electric Fields, like all these like huge Australian artists, and I was just still Aydan from The Voice. It was the year after The Voice. I was got very lucky to get on it, but I think I came like 5th or something like that. Like it's
still pretty
impressive. Yeah, it was a good fun though. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. But then that couple of years later, it was all influencers, and I was like,
I'm the one with the talent here.
I was like, I had to go up against Shepherd, and these guys are going up against each other with like, oh yeah, I'm a singer, I'm a local singer. Like local singer, I went up against these guys with 1 billion streams. So unfair. But we move.
Yeah, you know? We move. Obviously, no grudges there at all. No hard feelings.
No hard feelings at all. No hard feelings at all. No, it's all.
But then you went on after there. You were touring for a little bit in 2019. How was that experience? That lifestyle almost glamorized you. Yeah. Going from one place to one place, singing, performing, buses, planes. Tell us a little bit about it.
I loved it. I thought it was all I want to do, you know, like as being an artist, just like connecting with as many fans and humans as possible. And you want to go past your hometown. So I played a really big show in Melbourne. I played to like 1,000 people at billboards.
Oh wow.
Which was huge.
That's huge. Yeah.
And then we went from there, and I went to Sydney, I went to Brisbane, I went to Canberra, Gold Coast, Adelaide. It was crazy. It was all like me and the band were on the flights together, and we'd get like sprinters together and stuff. Like it was just it was so much fun. It was literally like the dream. We were making like little like travel diaries and travel vlogs and stuff. Like my band would record me, and then we'd finish the show, we'd go back, we'd get a feed, we'd get some food, we'd edit some videos, we'd jam, we would like, grab a drink. Like it was just, obviously I didn't do it for too long, because it's not like I did, a European tour where there's like 100 stops. It was like, 6, 7, 8 max.
Do you sign many autographs?
Oh yeah. Well, I always hate. I used to hate, like, there's this clip of Matty Healy that I really like, and he's like, if you do like a paid meet and greet, he's like, do it by cash, and he's like, take the cash out of their hand and say, thank you, here's your time with me now. Like, take the $100 and be like, sweet, put it in your pocket. Because he's like, I guarantee you do it for like 5 people, and then you kind of be like, this feels so wrong. Like, I feel like such a douchebag paying. So like, to a degree, I think yes, but then obviously you get to like Justin Bieber, and he probably can't be meeting people for free. Like, he's
That's
at
true,
a level.
yeah.
But at the level that I was at, we would charge, we would do like VIP tickets and the normal tickets.
Yeah.
And then, but whoever stayed back, I would just meet them all. And the VIPs would get to come in early. They'd get to, see my sound check. They'd get a free piece of merch. They would get, they'd get a lot of VIP treatment. But then the show would be done, and I would just tell people like, just if you want to meet me, just stay back. Like, it's all good. And so there would be like the hugest line. Sometimes I'd spend like 2 hours in the venue post show after playing for 2 hours, after bumping in that day, flying in that morning, and I'd like sit in the hall or wherever we were, and I'd meet whoever wanted to stay, and they'd get photos, and we'd talk a little bit, and I'd sign their merch, I'd sign their
What's the weirdest
faces.
thing you've signed?
How PG is the podcast?
Yeah, no, go.
No, so
Say it.
Do it.
Yeah, breasts.
Really? Yeah.
Probably the weirdest. Like, I mean, it's not really.
Respect.
Yeah, like, I don't think it gets much weirder than that.
Yeah.
Well, it does, but I think that's a big question. That'd be a big ask.
That's
Like,
huge. That's like, hats off, well done.
yeah. Well, I mean,
We
what are you gonna say? No?
Yeah, exactly.
fair.
I was like,
You're like,
okay, all right.
Diezel.
What are you gonna say? No, I don't do that.
No, sorry, I don't want to do
Sorry, I don't want to do that. Like, no, of course. It was like, I've always wanted to say that I do that. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of artist wouldn't?
imagine a granny just lifts up.
What the fuck? What the
God.
Anyway.
Oh,
Sorry.
dude.
So
You'd be surprised. There's there's weird moments, man.
Wild grannies.
Bruh.
Your current music style. So
Yeah.
it's very like, I guess, modernized. Like, it's very like off, like your inspiration. You said Michael Jackson, Elvis. Not really like them. So what would you say your main, because we were listening to it in the car the other day, what's your main musical inspiration in terms of flow, beat?
Honestly, like, I mean, it's hard to say now because he makes a lot of like soul funk stuff, but Bruno Mars,
Yeah, I see that.
just the way that he like sings and stuff is still the big inspiration for me, and the way that he performs. Like, I take a lot from that in the way that I like place my voice when I sing. But back when he was kind of doing more of like the 24 Karat Magic and like, Grenade and Just the Way You Are, like that kind of like pop stuff, I used to draw a lot on Bruno Mars. And now he's just really cool. So I can't really say I draw much musical inspiration because he's writing like funk and soul and that kind of stuff. Like, that's not really my genre. But the way he sings, the way he acts, the way he dresses, like all that stuff, I still kind of take a lot of inspiration from him in that sense. But everyone always says, like, every artist that you ask, like Usher and Michael Jackson, everybody that was kind of, and Justin Bieber, the people that were doing the dancing and singing, and like Justin Timberlake, like all of those artists will all say like, I took heaps of inspiration from Michael Jackson. Like,
Just
Michael
his
kind of
performances, is that?
yeah, like you take a little bit here and there. Like, you can really see it in people like Usher when he would do like his little moonwalk thing, and he and Chris Brown, they all would have taken it from Michael. Like, it's just, he's kind of like a catalyst for performers performing the way that those guys did, and the way that I kind of still want to do it. Like, I play more of a band style thing now. Like, most of the time I'm holding the guitar and I'll like work run around the crowd and stuff. Like, so it's less choreographed dance routines and more just vibes. But there's still an element of that I add into my shows. So
Do you have any shows coming up?
yes and no. I got out of my label deal last year, at the end of last year. So I was signed for 5 or 6 years after The Voice. And then post that, I've finally have the freedom to like do whatever I want.
Nice.
So now I'm putting in like headliners in place for next year when I drop like bigger projects, and I'm putting out an EP next year. Couple of singles before then that lead up. So like I'll drop another song before the end of the year, and
well, we're having an event soon, so maybe you can sing that.
It's in America, I think. But
whenever you go. Well, I'm
27th of September.
Oh no, I'll be here.
Done. Do you want to do a little live performance?
I'd love to.
Done. So
I would
we'll
love
run it
to.
up.
But we'll quickly brush over them. But back to record labels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about them now, especially more so with rappers being signed to like recoupable advances, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had any experience with that kind of stuff. But what are your thoughts on them, and why did you leave your record label?
I mean, look, I left the label. I just feel like the artist that they signed wasn't the artist that I was anymore.
Yeah.
So it was just a conflict always that that was no one's fault. They were just like, you know, why aren't you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why this? Why that? And I got signed at 17. Yeah. I was just about to turn 18. So naturally now I'm 23. Like I'm a different person. I'm a whole different human. Like you guys are still like a little bit younger than me, but like if you think back to like yourself 6 years ago, like you're a different person.
Different.
You know, you're a different person than what you are now.
It's pretty scary.
It is. Yeah. And they obviously signed me then, and they signed the artist that I was then. And then I wanted to grow, but we were kind of growing like that. And it was just creating a lot of tension because they wanted me here. I wanted to be here. And so I asked to leave. And they were happy enough to let me go because I think they knew as well. Like it just wasn't aligning. Like
was it a hard decision?
Yeah. I mean, any indie artist will tell you like it's really tough to be independent.
Yeah.
It's so tough. You have to do everything yourself and try and compete with the guys out there that have everything done for them. Yeah. Is so tough. Like, you know, artists have a 20-person marketing team just telling them what to post on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then they'll have 10 people, you know, giving them feedback on their songs, and 10 people organizing their outfits and this and that and all this stuff, and looking for deals for them and gigs for them and all that stuff. Yeah. Like it's a whole team. It's like trying to run a business by yourself or having 100 people running it with you. Like there's no comparison. So it was a tough decision to leave, but over anything, like the creative freedom is what I was after. Yeah. I wanted the right to be like, I want to put out this song. I want to put it out on this date. I want to do it. I want to do a music video. I don't want to do a music video. I want to do merch. I don't want to do merch. Like I didn't have that control because naturally I'm with a label. So it's kind of what they say goes. But they fund everything. They back me. So it's give and take. I just got to a point where I was like, I think I want to take a little bit of control and just do my own thing for a little while. And then
I think that's what a lot of artists agree with, especially with interviews I've seen. It's just like, there's a lot of perks to have a label, but there's also a lot of negatives. And there's a lot of positives to be by yourself and independent. But if a massive label came after you now, would you go with them, or would you prefer to stay independent and just use them as distribution?
Good question. I mean, I would have to heavily read the contract because I was only 17 and every artist wants to get signed. So I just signed. You just sign it. It was surreal. I would really read the contract and make sure like that I was locked into something. That was my biggest issue, was that I wasn't locked into a certain amount of things that had to be done. I was just signed. Usually when an artist gets signed, they'll get signed to a singles deal, an album deal, and they'll be like, right, so within 2 years, we're going to drop 4 singles and an album. And that has to be delivered because it's in writing on paper. So they have to let you drop that amount. I didn't have that. So we were just kind of going with the flow and seeing what was happening. And then it's like life just goes. So then before you know it, it's been a year and you're like, holy shit, I haven't put out a fucking song or I haven't played a show. And then you're like, damn, maybe I should try now. And everything's quite slow with labels because you got to ask this person, they ask that person, they ask that person, and then that person comes back to you and it's been a week and all you wanted to know was what's the release date? Like that, you know, it's a different beast, you know? So I honestly don't know. If it was a good contract, like I probably would. If it was like a 10-year, I probably wouldn't. But if the right contract came along, I definitely think that there's plenty of perks of being signed. Like,
and again, this relates back to my last question on the movie deal. Obviously, there's a lot of aspiring musicians out there and a lot of curiosity. With record labels, how does like the payment work? Is it full time? Do you have to do something else on the side? Do you have to?
Yeah, I mean, they like the label won't pay you for being signed. Like you won't get like a wage. Well, that sucks. I mean, a lot of artists will get an advance,
which is like recoupable as
like
well.
Like a signing price. But and that kind of funds the project, funds your ability to live. So like, there's artists out there that will sign a deal and get like $1 million.
Yeah, but that's all like signing it's deal. Recoupable as well, isn't it?
It's so that goes into what they call the recoup, which then that's why they take such a high percentage because they're like the bank essentially.
exactly.
It's like taking $1 million off the bank, but you've got to pay the bank back.
Yeah.
So a lot of artists will get that. But then as you go along, you know, they're like Universal got me a couple of brand deals. Like I did a Spotify collab that they were doing through Universal that got me paid. And I did a McDonald's collab that they were doing with Spotify that got me paid. And they gave me some COVID relief funding because, you know, so they were very supportive, but it's not like a full-time thing. Like you don't get paid because you're signed. You get signed and then your project has to work so the label can make money so you can make money.
Yeah.
So that's the way it works. So a lot of people will get signed and still work. You know, I've got a lot of friends that are signed at the moment with my old label or with different labels that will still like, you know, work at a cafe or something because there's still most artists that are signed, like 90% of artists that are signed are still aspiring.
Yeah.
They're still, you know, they might be at a level. Like I look at myself and I see myself as aspiring, but then someone else might look at me and be like, God, that guy's like made it. He's got all these followers and he's put out all these songs. He's done all this stuff. He's made it.
Yeah.
But I see myself completely as aspiring.
People just expect that money gets thrown at you if you've got certain.
That's what I mean.
If you've got like followers, people expect
like,
money just appears.
They go, oh, like
bang.
even with the podcast, it's like, oh, you must be making so much money. I'm like, yeah, for sure. It's like,
I shouted my mate a drink and he's like, fuck yeah, podcast money. I'm like, bro, no,
that's
man.
just
I'm like, no.
living money.
Yeah,
that's just being a mate.
cash.
That's like you see someone with I don't know 100,000 followers, and then they go, oh, he must be making $100,000 a year at least. Like he must be so rich.
Where does it come from?
Like, where does it come from? Like if you're not like you got to be able to capitalize on it, or you got to like as an artist, you know, I'm less of an influencer than I am an artist, and I try and keep it that way because I think it gets a little muddy when you try and be both. Like you're either one or you're the other. If you're an influencer and you're collaborating with all these brands and stuff, like it's good as an influencer, but then as a musician, it's seen as like bad or sellout, or you know, he's not a singer, he's an influencer kind of thing. So I try and stay away from that kind of stuff, and then like too much of it, and then they'll be like, oh, so you must make heaps of money, but it's like, yeah, but 100,000 followers looks good, but like the only way you make money off that is through brand deals, which I don't want to take.
How good would it be if like 100,000 followers just each gave you $1?
Yeah.
Like how sick would
Let's
that
get my
be?
followers onto it, guys. If you all want to give me $1, I can make music for the rest of my life.
Drop the link in the bio.
Yeah. I'll put my Cash App in the bio.
I've always thought about that. Like Kendall Jenner, she has what, like 1 million followers
millions.
plus. Imagine all of them gave her like just 10 cents. Like she would have so much money.
She would, but I reckon they all do that with their makeup products.
Oh,
I reckon half their following counts give them like $100 just on their Kylie lip glosses and stuff, and they're like,
their makeup's so expensive just for the name. Like I'm sure it's just as good as like Kmart. I'm not dissing. Nah, it's great.
That's how a lot of people would do it. That's how a lot of artists would do it. They'll start something. So that's kind of what I've done with this space with my mate, is instead of being like, I'm a singer and I want like a clothing line, or I want a line of microphones or something that, like, you know, a lot of people do. We were like, well, let's start this. And like, that's how the money's really made through social media, is like starting, like football players do it all the time.
Yeah. You see a
Merch
clothing
and-
brand.
Yeah. Clothing
Podcasts as
brands,
well.
or Bailey Smith Scotty's alcohol. A lot of them have like, we'll start up like a brand of alcohol
think
or something like.
It depends how you capitalize. It gives you opportunities, and then you have to, you know, try to fulfill those opportunities to make a living or to make, you know, your other dreams come true. In
Big
a
time.
sense.
Yeah, big time.
I'd love to talk about. You had a little bit of you were in LA for a little bit for work. I'd love to talk. The LA lifestyle is almost glamorized. You go to LA to pursue these dreams, and you're hanging out with these celebrities, and you're partying here, and you're doing these shows. What was it actually like when you moved over there?
I mean, it's like, I think it is glamorized. I never tapped into like I feel like it would be really crazy when you tap into that whole like super viral TikTok influencers vibe. Like once you start hearing those names, like people like Bryce Hall and stuff, like I feel like then it's probably a little more crazy than what I saw, because every time I go to the States, it's really just to work. It's really just to lock in. Like I'm not out at like parties and stuff. Like if I'm ever with friends, it's getting food or it's in the studio or something. Like I never really go there for that lifestyle, because I don't think I'm there yet. And it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't interest me at this point. Like maybe one day if I, you know, one of my songs pop and I get lucky and I can blow up a little bit, maybe like it changes and you go there and you start hanging with people and like things change. But at the moment, like I think it's hugely glamorized. Like go to LA, you'll make it.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more important to like set a foundation and have like a steady like, you know, kind of platform in your country or wherever you are, like in your hometown or something, if you can't, you know, sell tickets or you can't get streams or you can't like do whatever in your respective field and then you just want to go to LA to make it, like, yeah, it might work, but you know, I feel like it's very risky and when you can just do it here.
Expensive, man, as well.
Yeah, and it's pricey. There's everyone's trying to make it. It's saturated. Like
one of someone I know said that last time they went to LA, they were like watching people take fetal shit, like shits in the ground and stuff. Like
there's a lot of homeless. That's what.
Yeah, the homeless percentage is super high. Like naturally, there's a lot of drug use there. Like because there's a lot of creatives there. There's like a producer and a singer and a rapper and an artist on every corner and every, like, you know, in every complex there's a bunch of them. So like it's super saturated because it's the city of dreams, like for artists. But I don't know. I mean, I've got a lot of artist mates that do super well and they live in Sydney, Australia. And
did you have any collaborations with some big time celebrities when you were in LA? Like were you working with big brands, big names?
Did you ever do a song with like Jonas or?
Well, I didn't do a song with Joe Jonas. We had all these plans to like, what we were gonna do was he was gonna give me some of Nick Jonas's unreleased songs that he was not planning on putting out.
Oh, and take it.
And like be like, we'll put your voice on it and they're like, we'll like, you know, pitch it to people and this and that. Like that never ended up happening. We were so close to making it happen. And then the Jonas Brothers got back together and he's like, oh yeah, man, like, you know, yeah. But, and then like naturally his career started taking off. So it's like, what's he gonna, you know, sit here and help this kid for? Like, you know, he was right before the Jonas Brothers got back together and dropped Sucker and stuff. So that was like, that was my, essentially like my biggest kind of connect and my biggest collab, and it never even happened. But it was like, nothing comes close to that. Like Joe Jonas was a really, really big one.
The celebrity's you, people collabing with you.
Yeah, right? Like great. Yeah. But one like tangible one that I did was, you guys know Tiger Lily, the DJ?
Yeah.
With her colored wigs.
Yeah.
I featured on one of her songs a couple of years ago called Me, You and Tequila.
I do know that woman, yes.
Yeah. She's a really, really poppin' DJ, especially in Australia. Like one of the top female DJs up here. And yeah, I collabed on one of her songs. Wow. So I was the voice in one of them, which is sick. It's got like 2 million streams. Wow. Like it's a banger. It's such a good track. So that was a big like actual collab that I did. Yeah. But yeah, I can't beat that Joe Jonas one, man. Like that's crazy.
I'd love to ask, obviously in this industry, you're always trying to do the next big thing, the next big song, the next big hit, the next big show. How did you like handle that, like mentally, like the fatigue of that? Like, were you okay in those times? Was it hard to, you know, have so much like, you know, societal expectations and pressure to keep performing? Like, how were you feeling like during those times?
I mean, like you feel it just as much as anyone, you know. I feel like people that act like they don't is just, you know, like artists that act like they don't. It's draining. It's really tough. But everyone goes through it, you know. Everyone goes through those spurts where you're like, I want to do everything. It's human nature to always chase the next best thing. And it's really important. Like as an artist, that was a big thing that Universal would always drill on us, would be like, you know, smell the roses every now and again, otherwise you're going to burn out. And it happens. Like I burnt out all the time. I still do now, because all I do is create and pump out. And it's like, if you don't refill the tank, like you're going to run out of gas. So it was really tough not to, the feeling of, I feel like a lot of young people feel it these days, where you feel like you should be way further
ahead in life than you are.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I think it's the oversaturation of social media with all these people that like find success in whatever ways, if it's selling something or doing something or whatever. It's more, life's more comparable now than it's ever been. Like we all compare ourselves to
with social media.
Through social media. Yeah. So I think it's like, it's really tough that like, I feel like I should be here. I feel like, you know, I'm this age and I should have a house. I should be earning this much. I should have 2 cars and it's like crazy. Like as long as like, I feel like being happy in what you're doing and where you are and where you're at is just like not a thing anymore. And it's all just about like, you know, blinders on. I need to be there. And it's like, but what about like here? Like you've got a lot of good stuff going here, and it's like, you're going to miss it and you're going to blink and you're going to, if there's any, you know, people out there that are 30, I don't mean to make you feel bad by like acting like it's old, but like you're going to blink and you're going to be like 30 and you can't really do a lot of the stuff that you want to do in your 20s when you get to 30 and 35 and 40. And you blink and it goes. So
30
like,
is the age of reflection, apparently.
it would be like, yeah.
My sister turned 30 and she started bawling her eyes out. And I was like, why are you crying? Like, this is a good day. She's like, I'm fucking old. Like, apparently, like, that's an age that everyone like be like, oh my God, where'd my life go?
Well, because it's like, where's the, like, obviously we're all getting kind of closer now, but it's like, where's the childhood gone? Like,
True.
obviously the childhood's gone, but you can still mess around and you can still, the responsibilities are still relatively low. But
I think it's the feeling of being a child. I mean, so naive to all the world problems.
Exactly.
There's no pressures. There's nothing on you. And I feel like this is a big thing is like, I found this like going out of school. When you're at school, it's like, what are you doing in your life? I'm at school. Like, that's my life. I'm at school. But as soon as you're out of that, everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, what future do you have? What's this? So many like pressures put on you. So it's like, you love that feeling of being naive and not having those pressures on you. And it's just, so much more simple. And when things are simple, it's enjoyable, and you can, think about those little things in life and be in the moment. Yeah. Where when you're constantly worrying and striving for things, it's so hard. It's just difficult.
It is. It feels like it's hard to like strive for something and also be in the moment. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's hard to split yourself and be like, I want to be here and I'm going to work to be there, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is how it's going to be. But then also be like, I'm really happy where I am, and if I go back 2 years, I'd be really proud of the stuff that I've done and what and this and that, and that's like super important. Not burning out if you're a creative, even if you're just a human. Like, it's really important to do that. So I try all the time, because it's really tough as an artist not to burn out or not to feel like this person's got this and I feel like I should be there, or I need to be at his level or her level. I need to be doing like. It's so crazy. It's so crazy comparable. So it's just trying really hard not to do that and just, run my own race. I'm doing my thing. I drop my songs. I write my stuff. I do my like things. Like, I want to be an actor. Some artists won't have done it yet, and they'll be like, damn, I want to do what he's doing. And I'm like, but I want to do what. Yeah. It's like everyone's doing it. So it's like,
So now you touched on something off air. You have something going in Tullamarine or near Tullamarine. What is that? What are you doing? What are you doing with yourself?
Me and my best mate, goes by Benny Greggs. We opened up a content space together.
Huge. So I think we heard about that through the Amateur Shit Talker boys.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah,
Luke and I went on
Ben and Matt
met up with them for breakfast not long ago.
Nice.
And they had a lot of positive things to say about it. I think they're involved in it in some sense.
Yeah, slightly. They're really, really close mates of ours. Yeah. And they did a lot of interviewing and stuff for some of my business partners' events and stuff like that. So they're I mean, they've come into the space heaps and come and like work from there, which is awesome. Huge. But it's really just a content space for artists and for entrepreneurs and for anyone really. Like we've got a big cyclorama wall, like the big white model wall. We've got like a second studio for things like podcasting and self-tapes and just smaller scale shoots. We have like our little aesthetic area with like nice furniture and backdrops and rugs and plants and stuff. And we've got our music studio in the corner, which I run for artists that want to make their covers and put up like high quality content. Yeah. And then we have 2 offices upstairs for us to work out of.
Huge.
So it's essentially, we just wanted a spot where people could just create. Yeah. It's also an event space, so we can have people there like having little parties and launch parties. And I did a launch for my single there. So it's really just, we just wanted like a really collaborative, creative space where we can have, we've had clothing brands, we've had personal brands, we've had singers, we've had alcohol, we've shot a million and one things there.
Gap in the market, I feel like, as well. There's not too many like that collaborative or that versatile spaces like that. So.
We just wanted to make sure that it was super warm, inviting, like it feels like it's your space when you walk in. Yeah. And you can feel it when you walk in, like the energy's awesome. It's just we're all super positive in there. Everyone in there that's working out of the space are all in the arts in some way. So it's super positive. It's super encouraging. It's like, it's your space when you walk in. It's not like cold and you just come in, and that's the problem with a lot of studios that we find, a lot of like photography studios, a lot of places like that. You go in there and they're just kind of like, give me the money. You got 4 hours. Yeah. Exactly. And then it's just cold. Like, it's not your space. You want to be quiet. Like, we're like totally the opposite. It's like, it's loud. We blast music. Like, all the lights are on. It's always colorful. It's always on, it's always feels like a homey space that you can create in, which is what all we wanted. Like,
just that you spend a lot of your time there, working out of there.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time working and creating out of there at the moment, where the music studio is just about to be done. So I'm probably going to spend like most of my time there just making content, making songs. Like, literally. So I'm spending a lot of my time there at the moment, just getting it off the ground. But no, it's awesome. I think it's a big thing for both of us to want to like foster young talent and help young creatives in a way that we kind of wish that there was people there for us when we were like 15, 16 with big dreams and big goals. So
that's absolutely awesome. So that's huge. So if anyone does want to check that out, we'll throw that in there.
Yeah.
We'll plug
Head
it.
to That Creative Hub.
That Creative Hub.
It's called That Creative Hub.
What's the Instagram?
Literally That Creative Hub.
Creative
Oh, it's That Creative Hub AU.
I think I've seen it because I think your mate was it Benny Greggs?
Benny, yeah.
He has a podcast, is that right? Or,
Yeah, he was shooting one here actually. He was on a podcast of someone
Yeah.
else. Yeah, here.
I feel like Bo Brooks was in the space not long ago.
Oh yeah, Bo was on our mate Jack's podcast.
Yeah, that was it.
They shot their podcast in our studio.
And
yeah.
I found out what the thing was through that.
Yeah, right.
Hub.
That was our hub a couple of weeks, like probably like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
So we've moved slightly along since then, and it's pretty much all done now.
Huge.
So yeah, it's good fun, man. It's just a positive space.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
You're like an artist. Where do you get the inspiration for the songs? I know Bruno Mars is like, he talks about like his heartbreaks, girlfriends.
Yeah.
Do you have exes that give you motivation, heartbreaks? Like, I've got to say, like, does a heartbreak make you get like, does it give you a good song? Does it?
It does, bro. Honestly, like
Fuck yeah.
that's the biggest inspiration I find is the heart. Personally, like a lot of people will write about the world and about this and that. Like for me, it's like emotion based. So I write a lot about heartbreak, a lot about love, a lot about even I'll write fake scenarios about movies. Like I'll see a movie and then I'll write a song and I'll send I'll show someone and or I'll have like a partner at the time and she'll be like, that didn't happen with us. And I'm like, no, I know. It's not like I don't write everything like
you
gospel truth.
yourself in the songs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't write everything as gospel truth. Like I met her in September. It's like sometimes June just rhymes better. Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like it's like free therapy. I wouldn't know, but like I feel like it's almost free therapy, just getting it all out.
Because you talk about it as well in your songs, you know? Like
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
feeling a
So-
certain way, you just write about
And
it.
getting it out is the best way to think
Oh
of it.
yeah,
So I've heard people say
it's just an extra outlet. Like people say journaling, talking to someone, that kind of stuff. Like songwriting's another outlet for it because you literally it's instead of
It's pretty much journaling.
it's journaling, but it's making it sound like nice and good and stuff. I take a lot of inspiration from that stuff, like exes and.
Go out to try to get your heart broken. Yeah,
I'm
this is a
trying to
great
get my
song,
heart broken
mate.
just for the next single. So if anybody
Well, it sounds like
wants to
music.
break a heart, you need some practice. Let me know because wouldn't mind a good song.
I'd say, someone in this room might aspire to make a little bit of music as well. What would you say to them to put it out there and not be afraid of what people would think?
Yeah.
Oh man, honestly, like there's an ASAP Rocky quote that I love where he's like, I can't remember what he says before it, but then he's like, I can't stand people that make fun of others for trying. He's like, when did it become
Not cool to try?
to try?
I've heard that as
That's
well.
like my favorite clip because it's like anyone that everybody idolizes, like rappers, they all act super nonchalant, but like they were at a point in their careers. Someone like Travis Scott, like I don't know if any of you guys watched the Look Mama I Can Fly.
Yeah, the doco.
The doco. Like there was a point in his career where he was playing to like 20 people. And it's like, that is the most opposite of like nonchalant, like cool guy rapper that you could ever be. Like he's on there like busting his ass when there's 20 people in the audience, like with not a care in the world. And now he's playing fucking stadiums and he's up there and he's like, whatever, I'm so cool. And everyone's like, wow, I wish I could be that cool. Like I wish I could. But it's like, bro, that guy was like, you would have made fun of him.
Yeah.
You would have, if you saw that guy now and you could teleport and be in that moment in the documentary where he's playing to like 20 people, you would have been laughing at him.
I generally feel like that's a bit like us, like now. We get made fun of a lot. We don't really care. But like, I feel like in a couple months or a year's or hopefully a year's time or something like coming, we're that person. You know what I mean? Where people will be like, fuck, I feel bad for like saying all these things.
Literally, bro. Honestly, it like that. The most important thing is like that. When did it become uncool to try? Like it's not.
So-
It's so cool to give your all to something, and like you'll always see a reward come from it. If you apply yourself wholeheartedly, like you have to grow. You know what I mean? There's no way in the world that you won't grow.
I have that one quote. Like this is what I live by. Like in my head. Like imagine it could be bigger than you could ever dream.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Release your songs, Luke.
honestly, I'm not a singer, but I always think about like imagine it could be bigger than you could ever dream. Put yourself out there and see what happens.
100%, man. People are gonna think what they think, whether you try or whether you don't try. Like, I'm not out here writing songs and making TikTok content and doing this stuff for the people that are going to make fun of me, because they're going to make fun of me whether I do it or whether I don't.
Bingo.
Or if it's not me, they're going to make fun of someone else. I don't care, man. Like
who cares?
You know, if I back what I'm doing and it's me putting out a song and someone sends it to someone else and says, look at this like wannabe artist. It's like, yeah, I want to be an artist, bro. Like, yeah, I'm a wannabe artist. But like in a year's time, I'm not going to be wannabe. I'm going to be the guy that's like almost an artist. And then in another year's time, I'm going to be the guy that's an artist.
Then I'm going to be him.
And then in another year's time, I'm going to be like the guy that your girlfriend's buying tickets to come see. So it's like, relax, bro. It's like, you know, doesn't make you cool for shitting on someone else.
Imagine that, like someone's shitting on you all your life, and then you're like seeing one day on a show and you just see him in the crowd. That would like.
Well, literally, like that's the hugest, that's the biggest thing is like I used to play big shows and there'd be girls that would be like, and then like their boyfriends would be like standing at the back. And I'm like, bro, like you don't have to be like jumping in the mosh pit, but it's like they'll be standing there like.
You stand their boobs off like later.
That's huge. That's we're going to have to wrap. We're running out of time. That's a great note to finish on, I reckon. We could have kept this going for a couple hours, I reckon. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, boys.
It's honestly definitely been a pleasure.
Answered a lot of questions about the industry. And I'm sure you'll get a lot of interest to your creative hub.
Appreciate you guys
for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
And we'll see everyone next week. We've got another banger episode coming, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned, baby.
Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Aydan.
Bang.
Thank you.
Done.
We're done.
That was fast.
We're done, by the way.